Hello, hello. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. I mean, you know what? This is something very special and unique for us right here at Converge because we really get to now showcase to our audience and to Black community that we're involved in all forms of the arts. Tell us a bit about your start in opera.
Oof. Um, let's just say there's music in my family, but my dad, he was a pastor. He told me not to sing because I didn't have a gospel voice. I wanted to be an engineer since I was 5 years old. And I got to college. I went to Texas Tech University, and I also got accepted into UT. Now, Texas Tech, I was accepted on a choir scholarship.
Mm.
And I was only in choir because my boys and I decided that's the place where there's going to be a lot of girls. Only reason why. But I was accepted in UT's engineering program for the next year, and I was just going to go to Texas Tech to get my basics out of the way before I transferred for engineering at UT. And at the end, like the last month of my freshman year at Texas Tech, we did a Brahms Requiem, which is this gigantic piece. Everyone in the entire music school who played an instrument was in the orchestra. There were 500 people in this big choir singing. And I remember in the second movement of it, hearing the music, feeling vibrations in my chest because it was just so many, you could feel it. It was yeah, such an overwhelming power in that music to where I was like, maybe I'll try this. It was that sudden. It was that sudden. And, the rest is history. Went to grad school, Cincinnati, went to Academy of Vocal Arts in Philly, young artist at Washington National Opera. And there I'm here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Norman, I mean, this is really, there's, I think, always so many unique characteristics to everyone's story,
Yeah.
right? Like what gets you sparked, what allows you to continue. But, to hear that there are programs really for you to hone in on that talent that you have and to hone in and then learn the difference between, being in a choir and
Right.
performing in the opera. Tell us a bit about that transition for you.
It was, I would say, since it was such an impulsive decision, the transition to me was, I was pretty oblivious when it was happening because, it was choir. That was it. Operas were like a side thing to do at Texas Tech, but I was there for choir. And it wasn't until I graduated and I was like, it was like a year before I was done. And I was like, so guys, what do we do next?
Mhm.
Because, this is something I had never planned for. And they were like, oh, you go to grad school. And I was like, which ones? And they listed these grad schools and I auditioned those grad schools and I got into these grad schools. So then I get to the grad school, which was University of Cincinnati, the Conservatory of Music there. And I'm there and I'm singing. My voice teacher reworks my voice and like changes it. So essentially, I had about 2 years there where I wasn't really doing anything because I was just trying to get this together. And then it was finally not senior year, my third year of my master's. I was Van Wilder. Everything took longer. Um, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost done with this degree, and I haven't been taking this serious at all. And it's time to jump. It's time to make the leap. And basically, that's happened twice in my career, where you go from that transition from school to then semi-professional and then to professional. And every one of those times I had to like gather myself and get serious because I feel like I never realized the potential that I had or the talent that I had until way later. It was just something I was just kind of floating by and doing. So while that transitioning was happening from choir to opera to professional opera singer, I was kind of like in the back seat, I feel like, in a weird way. I was kind of like going with this flow of wherever it was taking me. Um, and that also helped me I was always the most relaxed opera singer because I wasn't all caught up in the hype and stuff. So I just kind of like drifted into this career and have finally started to get some success and do some things projects that I really want to do. But the process for others can be super stressful, and I can't say I didn't have any like dark times, some difficult times. There were times where I was like a 3-year period where I was eating peanut butter and bread, living in Philadelphia in an apartment I couldn't afford, a lot of people have that story,
Yeah.
but mine in particular, it's never a straight line. I was coasting, but it was like this, um, but Christine Schepelman, who is the director of Seattle Opera, actually hired me as a young artist when she was at Washington National Opera. That was my first professional young artist program. So it's kind of cool to be back in Seattle, and she's here now after being all over the world, and now she's here. So it's always good to see her face.
Well, I feel like I always say this when I'm able to speak to artists in particular, that every form of art basically creates its own family, right? And
Yes.
so, you're working with other opera singers in shows. You are, traveling. You now have this litany, right, from
Right.
school to opera, like you just said, and on the transition in between, you're building like family. You're building
Yes.
relationships with other people. So how is it to be here in this amazing show, Marriage of Figaro, and working alongside some amazing, opera singers right here in Seattle?
It honestly feels, first of all, I really like the city. I love the weather. People talk about it being gray all the time. I'm loving it. It's no sun, cool, rainy. I'll take it all day. But it feels really good. And, I feel very welcome here. I felt really welcomed by the company. And this project, Marriage of Figaro, is actually my first time doing this opera. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. And interesting enough, this role, is not, being a Black man singing this role to me means something. I'll just put it that way. It's interesting the way the opera world works and how it's changing now, but I feel a lot more appreciated. I feel like my talent is a lot more appreciated. And I feel like I'm being seen. I feel like I'm being heard. And it's something that's a new feeling, actually, that I've right.
Well, no, I was going to say, you
It's
literally
new.
are answering my next question, because that is it. I mean, we're talking about opera, right?
Right.
And Black community is probably like, well, opera's not for me. That's like a completely white space. We here at Converge, and I was saying this to you before, it's so great to have you here, because you really get to help us break the mold of what people think opera is. And so
Right.
I was going to be asking you about that, because, as you've probably experienced in your career, and as you say, with this iconic show, this is one of those top-notch
It
operas.
is.
I keep hearing about Marriage of Figaro being, the costumes,
Bread and
the
butter.
music, everything. It is top notch. So I know this is really important to you, but you're not just, in the cast, you're playing a lead role here. Count Amaviva.
Yes.
Tell us about this role, and for you to be able to get this opportunity, I think, as maybe some young Black men that may be in the audience, young Black boys, to see themselves in you. Tell us about what that means to you.
Oh man. I will say, when I was working in Washington, D.C., that was the most diverse opera crowd that I've ever seen.
Wow.
That scene in Washington, D.C., the Black culture is so integrated into everything, including the opera. So, coming here, I'm not sure. I don't know what this audience is like, but I do think it's very important to have representation of yourself when you're looking on any stage, when you're looking on TV, when you're listening to a podcast. Like, I feel like it is crucially important. And in that, I feel like I'm an ambassador. I feel like I am, it's hard to, it could be sad to feel this way, but I feel like it is my responsibility in a way to represent my culture and to set an example for others. I feel some weight with that. And I think it's important. I think the role I'm playing is also really important in young people developing. And it's like you said, you look on the stage at this Mozart opera, and you see a man of color up there singing, doing his thing, a lead role, Count Almaviva, of course.
Hey.
And it feels like I have a deeper role to play than just that role on the stage.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of that. And it feels empowering in a way, you know?
It really is. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, just for me, I'm definitely making time in my calendar to come and see you. This is something that I would love to bring my sons to, right? To expose them to something that is different, yet also is now really working, I think, intentionally on inclusivity, which is so important to the arts in general. It makes them better, right? And so we talk about that in terms of, art really reflecting the country we live in, where we have people from all over the world coming here to America to either better their lives or their situation, whatever it is, but they see America as a beacon. And how do we really reflect that in our arts community if we're not including diversity? So I really am so excited to see you. I mean, as you think about this amazing show, what do you want people to get from this show? Just give us a quick synopsis so people understand what they're coming to see.
I would say the show is an example of. It is an example. I would say the show is an example of the hierarchy being disrupted by. It's interesting enough. My character he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He's not, but he's upper class and everyone else is lower class. So he always has this feeling that he's better than everyone and that he can do whatever he wants. And the people, Figaro, his wife, they have other things in mind because they're smarter than me. They're more influential than I am. And, they end up coming out on top at the end. They disrupt the hierarchy. And, I feel like that's something that's happening all over the country right now.
Yeah,
it's really including Africa Town. Yeah. What? Wow, I'm like, my mind is blown. It is amazing to me.
Well, I'm so glad that we can show you that clip, and this is how we're getting down in Seattle. There's a lot of amazing Black leaders, organizations, and institutions that are doing exactly that. They're disrupting the hierarchy. We are showcasing what it means to have collective voice. And I'm telling you, Norman, I'm just so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us today. As our audience out there is probably trying to figure it out, I know Salman is putting the link in the comments, but tell them how they can come and see you and support this amazing show happening at the Seattle Opera.
Just go to seattleopera.com or org, seattleopera.org, click on buy your tickets and come see us. Yeah.
Norman, thank you so much. I can't wait to come and see you and to see the rest of the cast. Again, iconic show, top-notch opera, top-notch costumes. I can't wait to see you in your garb.
My costume is incredible, y'all. And don't get me started on my wig, y'all. My wig is silky. You know what I'm saying? It's nice. It's nice.
Well, you came through nice and sharp today, getting us prepared to see you as Count Amaviva. Thank you again, Norman, so much. I wish I had even more time because I know we could dive into so many things, but we just appreciate you for joining us right here at the Black Media Matters Studios for Converge Media. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Absolutely.